Hey!
Hi, what can I do for you?
My friends and I want to donate some money to our boy over there.
Yeah, for sure. And how much money?
Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Yeah, unlimited money.
yeah.
Yeah, just to show our support.
Okay, obviously you're gonna need one of these.
Yeah, no, totally.
So you know the rules. You can only spend this on independent things like ads supporting him.
For sure.
Yeah. You can't ask him for anything in return.
Oh, of course, no, we would never talk. We don't talk.
And you have to show me the names of all your donors.
Like everyone who donated to the bucket?
Yeah, just so we know like who's trying to influence him and what their agenda might be. You know, you could be from a foreign country.
Oh, yeah, no, that would be insane.
So can I see your donors?
Definitely, yes. He's right over here.
That's your donor? Mm-hmm. That's a bag.
It's a bag, yeah. It's a basically money goes into the bag, and then it goes from the bag to the bucket. So my donor is the bag.
Okay, but who's putting money in the bag?
I don't have to tell you that legally. There's actually there's a special loophole for bags like this. So
Who was that?
who was that? I don't know who that was.
All right, this is ridiculous. I have to get rid of this loophole and bring transparency back to our elections.
So you're not gonna do anything?
Oh yeah, nothing. I mean, who do you think gave me this job?
Hey! Oh, hey, okay, I see you. Hey. I see. Okay.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
If Bill Gates dropped a $100 bill on the ground, it quite literally would not be worth his time to pick it up. He makes $7,610 per minute, which comes down to about $126 a second. Obviously, he doesn't work that fucking hard to get $126 in his account per second. No human being does. That's why we say there's no ethical billionaires.
We tried to tell you guys that no one can become a billionaire in an ethical way. It is impossible for one person to amass that much money and be paying everybody they should be, following all of the ethical practices that they should be. Savage Fenty scoring lower than Sheen. Like, I know everybody loves Rihanna, but of course she's cutting corners. Of course she is. Look how much money she has. And Taylor Swift having such a huge carbon footprint. Honestly, you're surprised that her flying, going to see Travis Kelce all these games, like in her private jet, whatever she's flying. Don't act surprised. You cannot become a billionaire in any ethical way. People are being exploited. They are not being paid what they should be, and they are cutting corners everywhere they can.
So I really wanted to address this comment in a way that's not an attack on the commenter or people who share this opinion, but rather a facilitation of this discussion around the ethics of the existence of billionaires. Well, I agree that billionaires as a concept should not exist. The wealth inequality, both globally and in the United States, is horrendous. There's it's a high concentration of wealth in the hands of a very few. We could go a long way into redistributing that to better reflect the value of the working class, to better reflect the centuries of lost generational wealth accumulation that was denied to people of color, to Native Americans, right? So there's a huge discussion to be had around wealth inequality. However, so often when this topic gets brought up, this is a perfect example, say billionaires are trash, and then you go on to list nobody but women, female billionaires. When we look at wealth inequality, it's wealth held by very few individuals and denied to a vast amount of people. But you could break that down in different ways. If we're looking at wealth accumulated by white men, let's say, that's going to be a much larger proportion of the wealth held by white men than by women of color. So there's intersectionality to address here. If we could snap our fingers and eliminate billionaires and redistribute everything appropriately, that would be great. I would have no problems with that. But that's not realistic. So until we're to the point where we can just eliminate billionaires altogether, I'm more comfortable with the existence of female billionaires, particular female billionaires of color, because we have at least shifted some of that wealth in a valuable direction in terms of equalizing things. Not in numbers, in totality, but in terms of other areas where there's so clearly a discrepancy. And so I'm not going to worry about Taylor Swift and Beyonce and Selena Gomez while Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are sitting front row at a presidential inauguration.
Billionaires should not exist.
Hey, they earned that.
Come here. Nobody earns $1 billion. If you made $10,000 every single day from the day the Declaration of Independence was signed to today, you would still not be a billionaire. Billionaires are only possible through amassing wealth through generational wealth and extracting it through the labor of real workers, government subsidies, and tax loopholes. And before anybody starts, I know that billionaires are not sitting on a literal Scrooge McDuck pile of cash. But that doesn't mean that their wealth is imaginary, obviously, because they love using it. And I'm not just talking about super yachts. I'm talking about playing in politics. Let's take the minimum wage. It's been 14 years since the last federal minimum wage increase. It's been so long that the rallying cry of a $15 minimum wage no longer cuts it. Now we need at least a $20 minimum wage. Which obviously more than doubling the minimum wage overnight is hard. But the thing is, we could have been raising the minimum wage incrementally over time, but we didn't because of billionaires using their wealth and money and influence to stop it. So yeah, I'll say it again.
I feel like Saudi Arabian billionaires are probably the most fun billionaires. Because like American billionaires are all obsessed with going to space for some reason. But Saudi Arabian billionaires, they all just want to buy sports teams. Like, I'd want to hang out with the guy trying to buy Real Madrid before I'd hang out with the guy who's obsessed with Mars.
So I would chill with the Saudi billionaires rather than the British or American billionaires.
Quick hot take on billionaires. They are crazy texters. They will only text. Like I call them, hey, do you want to talk about the deal? Do you want to discuss the offer? Do you want to talk about the process, the strategy? Nope, they text. They text. I'm doing a $60 million deal right now. I showed the place for 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. And then afterwards, I called, hey, do you want to talk about it? Didn't pick up the phone, text me right away, said, I like it, what do you think we should offer? Text him back, give him the comps, okay, offer 60, all cash, close, sign ASAP. All right, do you want me to move forward with that right now and I'll just submit it? Do you want to talk any further? And he doesn't even text me back. He holds down the text and clicks the heart. Not even emoji. I don't even know what that is. Okay, great. I will submit that offer. It's wild to me that someone spending $60 million, they do not value the time of a phone call or anyone else's time more than what they can do over a text message. And that is a super interesting thing to take away. Now, texting is super impersonal, but if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. And what is your time worth? For a billionaire, I think Jeff Bezos makes $2,500 a second. So every phone call about something that he's probably going to do anyway, right? That's expensive. That's him investing that time in that call. So if he knows he wants to buy a place, and I'm not saying my client's Jeff Bezos, so don't blow me up. But if he knows he wants to buy a place and he knows what he wants to spend, get it done or not get it done, I just do it over text.
Under this big bullshit bill that the GOP is about to pass, no, they won't. And let me be crystal clear, when we say eat the fucking rich, we're not looking at party lines. Me personally, I would tax everything over $100 million at 94%. Why 94? Because I like that fucking number, that's why. And I don't care whether you're Elon Musk or Taylor Swift, nobody needs that kind of fucking money. We could fund so many things for all Americans if we stopped simping for billionaires. We're not in the middle of a political war. We're in the middle of a class war, and we are fucking losing.
I live in an area where there are a lot of billionaires, like around the corner. It's crazy because like people will post about my area. They'll be like, what do people even do to like afford to live here? And I was looking at the comments and people were like, you either get lucky, you're old, or you invest in real estate really long time ago. And it's like such cope. It is such cope. But that's why there's so little competition and why it's so easy to get ahead of everybody, because no one believes it's possible. And that's 95% of the battle, is just believing that it's possible. When I'm walking by these houses, I look at them and I go, well, if they did it, so could I. They're just human. I'm human. I'll figure it out. And the truth is, a majority of these people that are buying 40, 30, $50 million houses just sold the company. And that's really not that hard. All you need to do is find a company that can provide value to like enterprise companies, like corporate companies. My company, Media Labs, is already worth like $15 million. And I just talked to some private equity last week to get that evaluation. So Sugma, if you don't believe that. So I'm looking to sell like 10% of the company because I need to pay my taxes, and it's a lot. So trying to sell 10% and then use the other 5% as an injection into the company will grow even faster. And then one day I'll be able to sell Media Labs and this app that I'm building for probably like $200-300 million, and then that house becomes nothing. But all you need to do is build something, delay your gratification of just building a cash flowing business, play it by the book, sell your company to someone who can make it more money with their resources. It's not simple, but it's very simple, like playbook. So yeah, it is hard, but it's simple, if that makes sense.
So there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire except for Mackenzie Scott. I think she's literally the only one. It's not Mark Cuban, even though we love him and we appreciate him and we appreciate what he's doing with prescription drugs. Also, I am fully clothed with a towel. It's not Taylor Swift, even though Lord knows I love her. But really, there's about one ethical billionaire, and that's Mackenzie Scott, who has realized I have more money than even God would know what to do with. Therefore, let me give it away to make this world a better place. And before you say, why should somebody who makes a lot of money give stuff away? Why do they have to do that? They don't have to, they get to, right? And there's a difference. They get the opportunity to do more and help. I said this in another video. Elon Musk goes to bed every night knowing he's worth $400 billion, and he simply chooses not to help people with it. Every night he makes that decision. I'm not singling any one particular billionaire out here, but just for example, Mark Cuban, pick a town and fix their roads. Why not? Okay? For fun. I promise we'll name it after you forever. Okay? Forever. Mark Cuban Road. Brought to you by Mark Cuban. You're going to earn it back. You've already been set up in the system to earn it back. So before you say, oh, why do billionaires have to help? Again, they don't have to, they simply get to. And as a God-fearing woman who wants to make her way to heaven once she's done here on earth, I believe it's what we do for others that gets us up there, not what we do for shareholders.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
When people are like, well, what should billionaires do? Pay for things? Yes, that's actually historically accurate and what people that were rich did all the time throughout history. The Carnegies literally preached the gospel of wealth, which is about giving back, creating infrastructure for community, helping others with their money. The New York subway system, created by a billionaire. Penn Station, Grand Central Station, created by billionaires. Why do most libraries say the Carnegies on it? Because the Carnegie Libraries, 2,500 libraries were built by the Carnegies. Carnegie Mellon University, Rockefeller Center, Vanderbilt University, Carnegie Hall. In Japan, it's codified that everyone deserves to have culture and cleanliness. And it's kind of what some of these billionaires thought, that when people are cultured and they're clean and they feel safe, then society runs better. When money is put into infrastructure and put back into the system, then everyone can make more money. Then everyone can live better. And for the people that are commenting, well, it's their money, they should, do what they see fit with it. It just kind of breaks my heart because it means you've never had community. You've never been helped by someone else. I almost died of meningitis 2 years ago, and the amount of support and love and financial help that I got from friends, I get emotional just talking about it because it was the most scary, but the most beautiful time of my life. And I'm so grateful for it because I had a community that cared about me. And that's just what I feel like we should be like globally, and especially here in the United States where the consolidation of wealth is so high in that 1%.
If I had a lot of money, what I would do is sponsor gifted students, and I would build a lot of libraries as well. I would also make a club of the people who are outcasts and black sheep in the society as a whole, and just create an amazing large network of like-minded individuals who have a lot of potential and who can be a huge blessing to the world.
Don't need Google for common sense. When do we ever see billionaires around black women? Zuckerberg, Musk, Gates, Buffett. Don't worry, I'll wait. I hope you didn't wait long. I like a challenge. I did some research. So as of 2024, there are less than 2,800 billionaires in the entire world. So the population of billionaires is very, very small. And in the US, we currently have 813 billionaires, the most out of any country. We have finally beat China as the #1 country for billionaires. So first up, we have George Lucas, who is the creator of Star Wars, and his net worth is about $5 billion. This is his wife, Melody, and they have been married since 2013. You might recognize them. Jay-Z's net worth is about $2.5 billion. He and his wife, Beyonce, you know her? They've been married since 2008. This is David Stewart and his wife, Thelma. He's the founder of one of the largest Black-owned businesses in America, Worldwide Technology. And his net worth is about $7.5 billion. And by the way, he and his wife have been married for over 40 years. LeBron James and his beautiful wife, who was also his high school sweetheart, Savannah, they've been married since 2013. His net worth is about $1.2 billion. Magic Johnson and his wife, Cookie, have been married since 1991. His net worth is about $1.2 billion. And just for funsies, I'm giving an honorable mention to Bob Johnson, the founder of BET, because he was married to his wife, Sheila, for over 30 years before they divorced in 2001. And he was on the billionaire list for a really long time. So, yeah, it's not totally far-fetched that billionaires marry black women, because they do. Billionaires do not marry black women because they're these magical creatures that they just have to marry because they progress their careers. They marry these women because they're in proximity to them. People date and marry people that are in proximity to them. For example, George Lucas met his wife Melody at a business conference. And they're not American, but it's worth telling the story. That's Prince Maximilian and his wife, Princess Angela. She's from Panama, and he is the Prince of Liechtenstein. And they met at a party. She's a fashion designer. And yeah, he married her. She became a princess of Liechtenstein. There are men out here that don't think that we are worthy of attention and being desired, and that's fine, because there are clearly men that do. So there you have it.
Billionaires are not real. Not in the way that we think. Not in the way we imagine wealth to be. Because money, true money, flows. It moves, it exchanges, it circulates. But a billionaire is not just a person with money. A billionaire is a system, a machine, a siphon. Think about it. To amass that level of wealth, you are not just earning, you are extracting. You are not just working, you are leveraging. It is not about the hours you put in. It is not about your effort. It is about the system you control. Because no one builds an empire alone. The billionaire is an idea man, a strategist, a figurehead. The real labor, the real energy, the real creation, that comes from the hands of the many. The designers, the engineers, the workers, the dreamers who pour their time, their effort, their very life force into something they will never own. The billionaire is not rich in money. The billionaire is rich in influence and power, and the ability to direct the flow of energy, resources, and people. And what is the cost of this illusion? The earth is exhausted. The people are drained. We extract more than we replenish. We take more than we give. And in return, the world suffers. The economy fractures. People are in survival mode, disconnected, angry, desperate. Why? Because the flow has stopped. Because wealth, instead of circulating, is hoarded. And we are told this is just how it is, that some must struggle so others can thrive, that competition is the natural order. But that is a lie. The greatest trick played on humanity was convincing us that scarcity is real, that we must fight over what is abundant, that we must hoard what was meant to be shared. But abundance does not come from hoarding, it comes from giving. It comes from the natural balance of energy exchanged. If wealth does not flow, it does not nourish. If it does not give back, then it is not wealth at all. It is greed. It is control. It is spiritual imbalance. And imbalance is chaos. It breeds disharmony, conflict, war. Because when people are forced into survival mode, they cannot unite. And unity, true unity, is the one thing that threatens the system. It is the one thing that shifts power from the few back to the many. It is the one thing that reminds us that we were never meant to live in lack. So why are you hoarding? Why are you keeping what was meant to be shared? Everyone can eat. Everyone can thrive. The earth was designed to give, and so were we. Billionaires are not real, but the suffering they cause is. And until we wake up, until we reclaim the flow of energy, the flow of wealth, the balance of giving and receiving, we will remain trapped in an illusion. But illusions can be broken, and the truth is waiting.
I will always be fascinated like how differently people live based off of like their income. And I say this because I grew up with a best friend. Are we gonna call her that? I don't know. I'm just saying that she was mean. Think of which, replace the first letter with a B, and there you go, okay? So I was friends with her, and her dad was a billionaire. I'm not gonna give details on his job or whatever, but I kid you not, the way that these people lived was like crazy. And I began to live like that because I was friends with him and my dad was like they were family friends. So it started off chill. Like I knew they had money, whatever. Like it's obvious, it's right in front of your face when you come to their house, right? And my mom told me. Then there's this one night, I specifically remember this. It was me, my friend, and her dad, okay? He was the sugar daddy. Very nice man. And he's like, I'm really craving like this specific steak or burger place. I can't remember exactly what it was. I was like, oh cool, like that sounds good, you know, I'd grub. And he's like, yeah, only problem is it's like in Chicago. I huh? Like, I'm not great with the map or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's not in this state. And he was like, yeah, no, it's like 4 to 5 hours, but if your dad's okay with it, we can just hop on my private jet and go. Hello? I'm sitting here thinking he's still kidding. So I'm like, yeah, like call your PJ. Like, let's go. Let's hop on a plane, you know? I've never been on a plane before at that point. And he's like, no, like I'm not kidding. And I was like, what the hell? And he's like, you want to call your dad? And I think we tried to call him on like his phone because I didn't have a phone at that time. I was like 10. He tries calling him and it like goes to voicemail or whatever. And so like we're waiting for a call back. So we go to Walmart and we're just walking around the aisles and I'm like, damn. I was like, this is a cool scooter. It's like a little plastic scooter. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. But like, I'm thinking about getting my daughter like a Segway. I'm like Paul Blart? And he's like, yeah, like if you want one, like, you know, I can just get both of you one. My parents told me not to use you for money, so no. But like, kind of interested, you know? Like low key, you got my attention, but like that never happened. I think he had to like get them from like New Zealand or something or like shipped from somewhere else. And I was like, that is so much money. What? We never went to Chicago because I think my dad said no. I don't know. I think I blacked out from all of that. That was a lot. It was like whiplash. I was like, what are we doing? There's too much money. I'm scared. We're still friends for a while. And then this guy is like, yeah, we go on like hunting trips in Texas. And damn, it's a beetle. Oh, the time comes, we go to like a private airport. I still don't understand it. And then we hop on this private jet and I'm like, oh, okay. I could get used to this. Like never, like once you go there, you never go back. But I did. I had to. It was really bad that I started off going on a private jet because now when I go on a plane, I'm like, really? And I got used to it, let me tell you, because you look at left to right, there's charcuterie boards everywhere, whatever drink you want, there's pillows, you don't have to wear your seatbelt, you can get up and walk around, you can do a cartwheel. And I was like, I like this. This feels right. I went down to Texas twice for the hunting and then one time for therapy. I'll talk about it another time. It's fine. I've lived many different lives. You'll hear about it eventually. The first one we went to was beautiful. It was really cool. It was like set back and like crazy, like so much property, thousands of acres, okay? But if you wanted to get swamp ass, this is the place you would go. Crazy. It's so hot. Beautiful, like luxury lodging, okay? So beautiful. We're at the first one and this is like the day that my entire family was there. So like my mom, my sister and everything. That's not my whole family. My dad, my brother and everything, okay? And so this girl comes up to me. I think she was the daughter of the owner of the ranch or something. I don't know. And she comes up to me and she's like, hey, like, do you want to see the dinosaur trails? What? Like, I'm sorry? Like, I didn't think I heard her properly. And she's like, yeah, the dinosaur trail. And these like freaking Hummer things. And we sat in there and like we went on all these trails and it was long and it was hot and I felt like I was in the desert. But it was really beautiful. I can't complain. Like, it's really cool. And so we go down like this really like steep, you see what I'm saying? Steep. We go down it in like a Hummer or whatever thing can do that, right? So we go down it and we stop and I see this indent in the freaking dirt, okay? And basically it was a dinosaur footprint. Okay. I was like, oh my God, what shoe size is this? This guy came out and basically like did all the proof and I guess it's like legitimately real. And so we saw that and it was like a big old dinosaur and I wish I had photos. Y'all, please believe me. I swear I'm not lying. I mean, that shit was real. I saw it with my own 2 eyes and I was like, oh, okay. Basically, they're like, let's take them to the cave. Thank you. I am good. I would like to go home. But we go to the cave and it's like so hot where your vision's blurry and like you see water on dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like the little foggy stuff. And so there's this whole, there's like a couple puddles of water. And there's like these little minnows in it. And I'm like, how are you alive? Why are you here? And then I found like a tusk or a horn to a ram. I don't remember. I did have it for a while, but I don't have it to this day. So we end up like climbing the rocks to get to the cave. And the girl like looks at me and she's like, you know, whatever you do when you look up and like there's a flashlight, don't scream. Don't get scared. It's fine. What the hell? What am I getting myself into, right? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, can you tell me that? And flashes a light up there. Boom. Oh my God, it just flashed in my eyes. The most daddy long legs that I've ever seen in my life. Like if you put your hand up, it would just like pour out. That many spiders. Ooh. And they were just everywhere. Like covered the walls. Daddy long legs. And then she looks at me and she's like, yeah, they're actually like the most poisonous spider, but their teeth are too small to bite you. What if one isn't? What if one is like a mega one and his teeth somehow got too big and he's gonna kill me, you know? And I was like, why would you tell me this? Like, literally, she was weird. She was really pretty. I looked up to her. I was like, girl, I want to be you one day, but like, you are weird, you know? And so I didn't go super far in the cave. I did like go inside of it, but like it wasn't super far. I will say that. And then we went to this other one, which this one was like probably the prettiest property I've ever seen. And this one was even bigger. And it was also like a lodging thing. This one was called Outback Ranch. It's in Texas. The other one was like Record Buck. I'm trying to think if I have like crazy stories of this one, but I don't think I do. All I know is like they had Jack Russell Terrier dogs and she had puppies or whatever. And they basically explained to me that these dogs are like crazy. They'll jump on the backs of animals and stuff and they'll go in holes and they like kill things. And I was like, oh, you are too tiny for that, you know? I don't know why, but they had like a select few of deers that they were never gonna kill. They're called fallow deers and they're really beautiful. And I got to like hand feed them. And I looked at the man, I was like, what made them so special? Why aren't you shooting them? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. Like I was just asking, like he didn't have an answer for me. And I was like, I feel like that's kind of rude. It was pretty privileged. They were the prettiest ones there. It was pretty privileged for sure. The parents were really nice. My friend was not very nice. She was kind of my bully. She would insult me all the time, but she honestly built my character. Like if anyone wants to know why I kind of have like really tough skin and not like, you really can't offend me anymore, it's her. I give credit to her. Yeah, she was abusive. She was just so mean, but like I look back and I kind of laugh on it because she always did this weird baby voice and it made me want to throat punch her. I will say that. Like I looked at her one day and I was like, if you say that one more time in a baby voice, I am going to kill you. And she was like, no, you won't, bitch. And I was like, oh, you right? I don't know why I'm sharing this, but I just thought it was kind of funny and like I kind of wanted to share it. So yeah, but I realized like when I think about the stories of my life, I've lived many different lives and I love sharing stories and it's kind of funny, but yeah, there's some traumatic ones. I will say that. But anyways.
Her story was really all over the place, honestly. But I mean, I've heard stories where a guy spends like $30,000 per day just on food. 30 grand per day just on food. Living large. Eating the most expensive meals from anywhere in the world. Like 30 grand per day. 10 grand per meal, pretty much. Living large. There's really things to buy out here if you really want to spend $30,000 per day. And there are people in this world that are exactly like that. They got money like that. And so they live very large. And it is actually a huge waste of money. But I mean, it is for them. So I guess, hey. But yeah, I've heard crazy stories, man.
Okay, I just finished my run. So yesterday I made a video talking about how I think we should not have generational wealth, and like generational wealth is sort of antithetical to like building a society that would value people. Because it's like if we had the social safety nets that we need, then people wouldn't have a need for generational wealth. That's basically my argument. And somebody brought up a comment about capital. I might respond to more specific comments. This is a separate thought. And this thought is specifically about billionaires and value and stuff. This is why, shout out to Marx. Because, so let me think. I just saw a LinkedIn post and it's about some LinkedIn, you know, the LinkedIn bros that just be on there just talking about AI hype, whatever. And they're just shouting out, Elon Musk apparently has these robots. I did not do any secondary checking, but apparently has these robots or whatever that are $20,000, $30,000 a piece, or aims to have. I don't know if these things actually exist or if these are a concept of a plan, that can do household labor and maybe be friends or whatever. I saw this on LinkedIn. He's like, this will change everything, blah, 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 blah. And then there's people in the comments that are like, you know, just go outside and make friends. But it just made me think about the fact that billionaires literally are not innovators. Like, they don't bring any value to people. Because on my post from yesterday, a guy's commenting, like going back and forth with me about the idea of like taxing billionaires out of existence. And ultimately I'm like, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree, but I'm not about to be on the internet capping for billionaires to remain billionaires. But like within this, I think is like, which the commenter didn't explicitly state this, but I feel like there's this underlying assumption that somehow like billionaires and corporations are like necessary for like people in society. I think that's genuinely like a thought, is that we need like that billionaires make society better, that super rich people are just like making these huge contributions and innovations to people, and that's why they should be allowed to exist. I think that's like the idea, and that we associate like morality and goodness with wealth. And so therefore there's this like idea and like deservedness with wealth. So then there's this idea that, oh, these billionaires are good people, and that they just bring outsized value to society and to the world at large, and that's why they're billionaires and that's why they should exist. And that's absolutely not the case. Like most of these billionaires are literally just lucky, and then greedy, like, and hoard wealth. But they're not innovators. Like, they are not exceptional people. But even if you are exceptional, that does not mean that you should be a billionaire. Like, there's a lot of exceptional people who are not billionaires. And it brings me to the next thought of this idea, because there's often this discourse that goes around. It's like, well, if people just can't make infinite wealth, then they will not do anything. And it's like, billionaires aren't doing anything. Like, as I'm like going back and forth in the comments, I'm just like, because we're talking about like corporations and like where corporations derive their wealth, and like there's sort of this argument that, oh, you can't tax billionaires out of existence because like stocks are like unrealized gains, and then if we tax them out, then they won't be. I don't fully understand the argument, right? Yeah, I don't fully understand this. I don't fully understand the argument. But I want to be like, I eventually was like, people create value. Like, my whole thing was that the value of a corporation is tied to like their labor force, to like the assets that they own, the things that they produce, but it's ultimately the people that do that production, right? It's not billionaires and CEOs. Like, a lot of people who own a bunch of stock in these companies don't even work for these companies. They're not actually doing anything to profit from these companies. They just own a share of that company, and they can take part of that revenue, but they're not the one that's producing the labor that the wealth of this company is tied to. So I want that to be clear, that like billionaires, corporate executives, like the richest people in society, they don't work for their money. And even if they do, there's no amount of work that they could do that could justify the income and wealth discrepancy between them and the lowest paid people in their workforce. But once again, they don't work for their money. Like, and the tech bros like Elon Musk being like, oh, I wake up at 5 a.m. to go do whatever, they are masochistic. Like, they are mentally unwell. Like, actually, like, I think there's research, I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure there's research that talks about how like certain levels of wealth just like destroy your brain and like undermine empathy and all of these other things. Like, we're not talking about mentally sound people. Like, actually, these are not mentally sound people. These are not people that are really like, they're not providing goods and services to society. And then on top of that, the other thing I want to say is that a company can make money without making profit. Like, that's the other thing. That's why you have all of these companies that exist. Like, you have like Uber, like pretty much most of the tech companies that just have existed for so long, and they're like not profitable. And it's like, part of it is they've just been propped up by venture capitalist firms and like all of this influx of funding and stuff. But like, these companies still have revenue, but like, revenue is not profit. Profit is what you make after like your expenses and stuff. Like, profit is like, oh, this is what's left after we pay all our folks, after we cover all of our debts, our expenses, that's what's profit. You could theoretically have a company that just breaks even. Would the company grow? Probably not, because like, you do need to have some amount of money to like reinvest into the company. But to think this idea, like, I just want to undermine this idea that like companies just have to have infinite growth and infinite profit, because that's what capitalism says. But like, we see what happens. Like, we see what happens when we have just infinite growth. Stuff deteriorates. It deteriorates, it actively gets worse, and then we just backtrack into worse solutions, because that's what happens when you have a profit motive. Like, when like you could have a company where it's like, oh, I'm okay with my company making enough money to pay all of my workers a livable wage, and then have some money left to like reinvest to like market more or make improvements, or maybe even to a certain extent have some growth. Maybe you want to reach into a different market, maybe you want to like expand your customer base, whatever. But that does not require infinite levels of profit. Like, to a certain extent, it might not, like, depending on how you work it might not require profit at all. Like, you could just need revenue, and within your revenue is like, okay, there's a certain budget that's allocated to like reinvestment. So yeah, I think about that a lot. The fact that like, I feel like capitalism has like messed up our brains so much to think that the current economic structure that we live in is just like the only option, and that it's somehow unimaginable to exist in a world, or imagine a world in which profit is not a goal, like in which you just make money to like make enough money to like live and pay your bills without aiming for infinite growth. That's perfectly acceptable. And those bills include the labor force that in their benefits, right? Yeah, it's just interesting. And it's crazy because like I've thought about this a lot because I grew up on the complete opposite end of like believing in like capitalism and black capitalism and da 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 da. And we should just have infinite growth and landlords and all of this stuff. And it's like, actually, we don't need to have that. Like, that's not necessary. That's not necessary. And if we stop imagining that the world exists, that as it exists now is how it has to be, like we could go so much further. And I just think it's just like there would be so many other things that this would trickle down to, as far as like having politicians that you can't just buy off because you have money, like, and that impacting everything, like laws, all of this stuff, that we essentially don't really live in a democracy when you can just have lobbyists who represent a very small segment of the population who have direct access to politicians and the funds to pay for their campaigns and stuff to go against the will of the people and what would be good for the majority because they just have money and means. Like, tax it out of existence. I don't care. And once again, we wouldn't need to have generational, like, honestly, like, if you really think about it, will we even really need to have a stock market? Well, this just came to me. Would we really need to have a stock market if like these companies were taxed so high, were taxed so much that we just have all of the goods and services that we need for like everybody to maintain a certain level of quality of life? And of course, like, people should work, people would still work. That's the other thing. I'm gonna have to make a part 2 about working in labor. But like, will we even need to have a stock market to like generate wealth if society was structured in a way that like we just paid taxes into a system that ensured goods for everybody? I don't know. I'm not an economist, but I feel like probably not. But once again, reimagining society.
Ethical billionaires do not exist. It's not possible for them to exist. Let me tell you why. First, we must grasp just how much money 1 billion is, right? We're talking about 1,000 million. Right? 1,000 million, right? Most of us are like, yeah, if we had $1 million, would be good. If we had $3 million, we'd retire. 1,000. These people made that and then got 999 more. And once you grasp that and you realize how many billionaires there are in the world, and you start looking at the wealth distribution in America, it's absolutely sickening to look at how much money the billionaires have compared to how many people are impoverished. And all of this is because of our wonderful failed system of capitalism. And before you get on me about this, let me explain what I mean by that. When I say capitalism, I don't mean like buying and selling things is bad. Like, we're always going to have to trade, whether it's money or barter or something. What capitalism does is it disconnects the value of a laborer's work with the value that they're bringing. So they're paid a very small percentage of the value that they're actually bringing, which allows all that extra value to go to these people that don't do anything, that they have money, so they accumulate more money. It's literally a system set to make people richer and richer. So if you have a bunch of money, you have a couple $1 million, you can buy a business, and then all these people will work for you, and then all that money flows to the top. Biggest flaw of our whole country is the fact that billionaires exist. They put a bunch of money into super PACs so that they can funnel it into the government and buy government officials. And people know this, right? Why are we standing for this? Why is this allowed? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, here's the thing, right? Even if we redistributed the wealth, there will still be wealth inequality in the United States. And it will still get larger and larger and larger. There are certain traits that you need to make a lot of money, especially in the United States. Number 1, you have to work all the time. Most of these guys work 12 to 20 hours per day. Just imagine that. 12 to 20 hours per day they're working. That is 80 to about 140 hours per week. That is an incredible amount of hours to work. Number 2, you have to take a lot of risk and fail a lot of times. A lot of people are not willing to do that. Number 3, you have to have good leadership skills, and it takes years to be a good leader. Number 4, you have to have delayed gratification. Number 5, you have to invest in the right things. There are a lot of traits that a person has to make a lot of money. So even if we all start from the same place, say every family started out with $100,000, in about 50 years, you will see there are people that will be really rich, and there are people that will lose all that money. And it will still be those in the top and then everybody else. So there will still be a huge gap. But I do believe that if you do have a lot, give a lot, give back, and do as much as you can. But this idea that everyone will be equal is foolishness. There is no equality. Even if everybody started at the same spot. It's like school, right? Everyone starts at an A, but not everybody ends at an A. There are Fs, there are Ds, there are Cs, there are Bs, and then there are As. There is a range. And there are certain traits to be a great student. Not everybody has those traits. And so not everybody will have an A, even if they start at an A. I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.